For over 800 days, I have consistently kept up with good habits like meditating, journaling, working out, or reading my Bible. In this video, I'm going to show you how to be consistent with the good habits and some tricks that I found out along the way that quickly made my life easier. During the 2020 lockdown, I was in 8th grade going into freshman year, and like every other person in the world, I wanted to become jacked during lockdown and become unrecognizable once the world went back to normal. So I started to do 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups every day. Then my exchange student brother hopped in and we started doing that together. But eventually he started getting really into working out and I started to taper off. He started going to the gym instead of doing at-home workouts, and I stopped doing at-home workouts and started watching TV. He started to track his food, but I couldn't help myself from eating ice cream. I don't regret almost anything in life, but he would ask me every time if I wanted to go to the gym with him when he went, and I wish I would have then. The fact that he kept asking me and I kept saying no was so stupid. And one day I said yes, and then the next day I said yes, and I started getting into a habit of going to the gym with him, but quickly thereafter, he graduated and was moving away. He was going to college in a different state with his actual blood relatives, and as soon as I had started getting consistent in the gym with my gym bro, my brother, I lost him. So once he left, I kind of secretly vowed to myself that I was going to keep with it for him. I found out how to actually like the process. And now, even if I miss a day or a couple days or a week, I never stop actually going to the gym consistently, and it takes no discipline. First, and arguably one of the most important things, is you have to understand why you want to do this habit consistently. In the reality, most of discipline comes down to objection handling. You're kind of going to court with yourself, as weird as that sounds, and presenting arguments to yourself, and once your subconscious is convinced, it removes the resistance to doing those actions. So for example, if you're watching this video, you might want to start working out consistently. If you want to start working out consistently, you need to initially understand why. Do you want to look better so you can attract more girls? Do you want to look better because you feel disgusted every time you look in the mirror? Do you want to gain more muscle because you're sick of people making skinny jokes? Whatever the reason is, you need to understand what the reason is and become extremely clear on this reason. Try using the Socratic method and continually asking yourself why. For instance, I want to attract girls. Why? I don't want to feel lonely. Why? In reality, I just feel that I'm not good enough. Why? I put half effort into my life and I don't even respect myself. That's what the process might look like in getting as close to that core fundamental reason as you can. This core reason will be your main defense in the court of your mind. This type of reasoning highlights another important key framework that hyper-successful people use to consistently do habits, which is that your goals are a vessel through which you work on yourself. You are the project. Although there are probably material ends to your goals, the process of achieving a goal is becoming he who has what you want to attain. The process of achieving $1 million is becoming someone who is knowledgeable and skillful enough to have $1 million. It's a big game of shifting and refining your identity to become he who can. I used to do karate for a while, and my instructor would always say the same thing when it came to testing for a new belt. He would say, when you step on that mat, you have to be the belt you're testing for. So if you get on the mat and you're testing for red belt, you have to be a red belt when you show up that night. And the whole night, you're not testing for red belt, you're just showing the instructors why you are already a red belt. It's subtle, but the concept here is that what's necessary is an identity shift. And not only that, but that your external results don't happen until you have an identity shift. Once I adopted this mindset that achieving my goals in real life is just upgrading my real life video game character, it took no effort to do the habits. And the process of achieving your goals is practically just doing those good habits that get you there consistently. However, there are a few key strategies that help me cement the consistency in my good habits. Before that though, I do want to clarify, this video is teaching you how to be consistent with good habits, not break the bad ones. I want to clarify that because I have way more proof for the former than the latter. Like I mentioned in the intro, I have consistently meditated and read my Bible and journaled, etc. for over 800 days now. And I want to show you a few methods to help you practically build good habits. Imagine for a second that you have this habit that you want to start doing. like journaling. You know you should do it, but you can't seem to stay consistent. And you feel great when you journal, but after a few days of not, your brain goes back to spaghetti and you wish you had stayed consistent. Now instead, imagine that the action of journaling catalyzes you into a new habit like reading your Bible. Previously, you couldn't start journaling to save your life. Forget reading your Bible consistently too. But what if journaling could become the cue for a different habit? You could build consistency with two habits at the same time. This technique is called habit stacking, and it's actually kind of wild how powerful this is. Decide upon a few habits, usually ones that are similar or that you can do at a similar point in your day, and mentally commit to immediately start doing a different habit once you finish the first. Eventually, you start to build a mini routine where you start a habit, and once you finish that habit, you seamlessly transition into the next one. This might sound too good to be true, and like everyone would be doing it if it were so easy. The thing is, everybody does do it. For instance, you might wake up, get some coffee, and scroll on your phone for a few minutes before you start your day. Or you might wake up, shower, pack your lunch, and then go to school. Regardless, we all have these parts of our days where we are kind of on autopilot and moving from one habitual action to another, and it takes no effort to do these processes. This is not a new thing for your brain. We're just using these circuits for something different. Two things I started doing almost 3 years ago, which to this day are my two most consistent habits because of this idea of habit stacking, is the exact example I gave earlier, journaling and then reading my Bible. I pretty much always do these two things together. Go to bed. Once I'm done journaling, I just grab my Bible. The closing of my journal becomes the cue for me to start reading my Bible. Or the end of the first task becomes the cue for the beginning of the second. And so eventually you can build this out too. You can stack as many habits on top of each other as you want. Yeah, you can literally habit stack your entire day. And that's exactly the next strategy. Habit stacking in its extreme is just time blocking your day. I've been using a timetable for a little over a month now, and I can tell you it's a literal game changer. About to hit up some deep work. This whole timetable business is keeping me locked in.
And it's just so much progress can be made in one day when you account for your time.
I'm convinced that this is probably my new way of life because it makes your day one big habit stack. Even if you don't hit everything on your timetable every time, if you build your timetable correctly, it will be your ideal day, taking into account responsibilities and what you want to pursue. And then your ideal day becomes a habit. That's a crazy sentence. Your ideal day becomes one big habit stack. You do that autopilot thing, but all day for your ideal day. But even if you're not ready to commit all the time in your day like I started doing, even just scheduling when in your day you're going to do certain habits is still powerful. If you start to say, for example, that when you wake up, you're going to go to the gym before you go to work, there's no set time on it, it's just before you go to work, you go to the gym, then your life starts to mold around being conducive to that good habit. Saturday mornings, I almost always clean this church with a mentor of mine as a little side gig. And almost always, after I'm done cleaning, I go to the gym. You could argue that this is a habit stack, of course, but I know Saturday mornings, I go clean, and then I go to the gym. It takes way less effort if I commit to doing those tasks Saturday mornings, every Saturday morning at that time. But also, and this is a key, my expectations of myself are that I go and do those things Saturday mornings. Real pain is caused when reality and your expectations don't match up. So if you can learn to change your expectations of what you do as the person you are, that will already do you a world of good. There is one trap that you have to be wary of falling into though. Imagine you have this goal of hitting 10K a month. And after years, you have gotten consistent in some good habits. You work out more, you're more intelligent, you have better style and more confidence or whatever, but you still aren't actually closer to that goal that you laid out for yourself, earning $10,000 a month. Most likely the reason this happened is because you put your efforts into building consistency in habits that don't actually help you achieve your goals. They're not relevant habits. I know that this is the case because with multiple goals in my life, I have been in that situation between trying to quit certain bad habits to some goals I had for my YouTube channel, etc. I have improved aspects of my life, but until just recently, I hadn't realized that doing general self-improvement habits aren't always beneficial. Sure, there may be some positive benefit, but if the goal you have for this time in your life right now is to work out consistently and get jacked, don't make it a priority to be super disciplined and put a lot of effort into being consistent with reading every day. I understand that most people want to holistically change their life, but if you want to build a habit, but you can't tell me why and it doesn't specifically connect to a goal that you have in your life, or you can't really tell me the relevant intention behind the habit, how it applies to you at this point in your life, then at least right now in this season, it's probably not something you want to put all your energy into being consistent with. Besides the fact that doing things ambiguously just because you think they might be benefiting you some way is definitely not going to get you to your goals, you are also doing these habits without clarity. And so you're probably not even going to reap the benefits of these good self-improvement habits anyways. You'll probably just be doing them to check off, I did it. That said, once you have picked the habits that you want to build consistency in and why, then committed to doing those habits at certain times on certain days, maybe even stacking them on top of each other, something I have found extremely beneficial is designing my space. For a while, I wanted to read more, but I literally couldn't do it for the life of me. So what I did is I acutely curated the books on my desk so that they were only books that I was either interested in or that was completely relevant to the goals that I had in my life at the time. I also just bought a new bookshelf, and now this corner in my room is where my books and my notebooks reside, and for some reason that just makes me so happy. I would also leave the book out that I'm trying to read and finish on my desk so that I would constantly be seeing it, and I made a reading list on Notion, keeping tracks of the books that I was reading and that I had finished, and that would open every time I opened Google Chrome on my computer. So between your physical and even your digital environment, you want to design your space in a way to make it as easy as possible to do the good habit. As another example, if you're trying to meditate, before you go to bed, clean out the spot that you're going to meditate in the next day so that it removes as much friction as possible. This is really what I'm talking about when I say design your space. Make it so that where you normally do the habit, it is obvious that you should do the habit there. Remove as much possible friction from doing the habit as you can. Just some pretty basic stuff from the book Atomic Habits. Next, once you have all that, you want a way to track progress. One of my favorite quotes ever, and this one is from Hamza, is that progress is the biggest motivator. Seeing yourself make progress and build a streak is probably the easiest way to be consistent. One of the best ways to hack your brain to being motivated by the progress that you're making, even if it's just tiny increments of progress, is by using a habit tracker. There is definitely a right and wrong way to do this, and if you do it the wrong way, you're gonna waste a ton of time. So if you want to learn how to effectively use a habit tracker, click on this video right here. But thank you for watching. I hope this video brought you value, and I will see you all in the next video.